is Ms. Moe. We're on number 26 of the final exam review for elementary algebra. 26, it says find the area of the rectangle. Well, area of a rectangle is length times width, and that means one side multiplied with the other side. Well, they told us what both of the sides were. A was 9 over 40, and B was 36 over 11. Okay, so we're going to multiply those two together. So 9 over 40 multiply 36 over 11. And remember, when we multiply fractions, we go left to right. So we get 9 times 36, 324 on top, 440 on bottom, and then you could probably divide it by 2 over and over and over. So let's see, if I divide it by 2, you get 162 over 220. Then you divide it by 2 again, and you get 81 over 110. And then I don't think you can divide by 2 anymore because that 1 means odd. So, hey, D. So on that one, what you need to remember is that you multiply the two lengths, and when you multiply fractions, you go left to right. Okay, number 27, it says a restaurant has a capacity of 180 patrons. If the restaurant is 6/18 full, how many patrons are at the restaurant? Okay, so we have this restaurant, and there's tables, and there's people all around the tables. There's people all around the tables. Maybe there's a square table, and there's people all around the square table. Anyway, so it's kind of like saying there's 180 people, and only 5/18 of the restaurant is full. The rest of it is empty. So they want to know if there's if it can fit 180 people total, and it's only 6/18 full, how many actual people are there? It's not 180, it's something less than that. So we're going to multiply. We're going to say 180 times 6 over 18. And that will tell us how many people are up in this restaurant. Okay, first, this 180 doesn't have a number underneath it, so let's put my good friend Juan. Then we're going to multiply left to right like we did on the last problem. And we get 1080 on top, 18 on bottom, and then those actually divide out to make us 60. D. Woohoo! Okay, let's look at 28. It says use the circle graph to answer the question. Last year, one family ate fast food 576 times. The circle graph shows the types of food eaten for the year. Find the number of times hamburger and fries were eaten. Well, first let's find hamburger. 1/4. Okay. Now let's find the fries. 1/6. Okay. Now we want to know, out of this 576 times, how much is hamburger and fries worth? So, first what we're going to do is we're going to add these up. 1/4 plus 1/6. Okay, when you add up fractions, the bottoms have to be the same. So, let's think of a least common denominator. That's like a least common multiple. That means look at the denominators and think of their multiplication facts, like 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, Then think of the other denominator, 6, and her multiplication facts, 6, 12, 18, blah, 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 blah. Now find the smallest number in common, 12. Hey, that's our LCD. Or it's the least common multiple of the denominators. Okay, so I need this 4 and 12, 4 to become a 12. So what can I multiply 4 by to get a 12? 3. I also need this 6 over here to become a 12. What can I multiply 6 by to get a 12? 2. And you have to do the top and bottom. Okay, now when you multiply, just like the last two problems, you multiply left and right. So this gives us 3 over 12 plus 2 over 12. And when you add fractions, you can add the tops and you keep the bottoms the same, now that they are the same. So we get 5 over 12. So 5 over 12 represents the hamburger and the fries together. And, okay, now 5/12 of 576 times is how many? So it's kind of like now we're doing the last problem all over again. We're taking that whole number of 576 people, or sorry, 576 times that we ate fast food, and we want to know what is 5/12 of this. So we multiply it by 5 over 12. Okay, how do we multiply fractions? Well, it's like the last problem where we have to put my good friend 1 underneath. Then we multiply left to right. And we get 2880 on top over 12. And if we actually divide that out, we get 240. So press 2880, then just divide sign 12. Woohoo, 240. See, that one was kind of awkward. Okay, let's look at number 29. It says find the reciprocal. Well, that means turn it upside down. Well, let's look at the number 6. What is he on top of? Oh, hey 1. How you doing? Okay, now flip it upside down to make 1/6. So reciprocal means flip upside down. Okay, let's look at 30. It says a box of cereal contains about 12 cups. Okay, a serving size is 3/4 cup. So a box of cereal has 12 cups. Okay, and it's asking a serving size is about 3/4 of that. Okay, it's asking how many servings can you get out of this box of cereal? Well, we can definitely get 12. Because 3/4 can fit inside each cup for sure. But then all this leftover amount can come up with another 3/4. So like here's 3/4. Here's another 3/4. Here's another 3/4. You get the point. So anyway, we're asking how many times can 3/4 go into this 12? Okay, so when I say go into, I mean divide. So we're taking these 12 blue cups and we're dividing it into 3/4. So we're going to say 12 divided by 3/4. Okay, how do we divide? Because we're cutting this 12 cups into 3/4. So I definitely see a 3/4, a 3/4, a 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. Yeah, there's definitely 12 of them. But then this leftover from the first cup and the second cup and the third cup make up another 3/4. So that's why we have to divide. So how do we divide? We do keep, change, flip. You keep the 12 like it is. You change that division to a multiply dot. You flip this 3 over 4 upside down to get 4 over 3. Then, how do you multiply fractions? You put a 1 underneath and go left to right. And we get 48 over 3. Or if you put that in your calculator, 48 divided by 3 should be 16. Okay? And the key word that gave away the word division is RN. It's asking how many servings are in. That's what tells me to divide. Okay, let's look at 31. It says, a child's dose of medicine is a 1/6 of pre-measured dose cup. If the bottle of medicine is 5 dose cups, how many children's doses are there in a bottle? Okay, so we're saying that in a little cup, let's say this is a cup, okay? And I divide it up into 6 pieces. That means 1/6 is a child's dose. Well, we want to know, okay, if you have 5 of these cups, how many little doses can fit in there? How many 1/6 doses can fit in there? Well, there's that word, RN. That means divide. So we're going to take the total, which is this 5 cups, and we're going to divide it by that 1/6. So it's just like the last problem, only they gave us the information backwards. On number 30, they gave us the total amount of cups first, whereas on number 31, they gave us the total amount of cups second. So that's kind of tricky. Okay, so let's see here. To do 5 divided by 1/6, we're going to say keep, change, flip. So 5 times 6 over 1. Then put a 1 underneath that 5 and multiply left to right. So we get 30 over 1, or just 30. So that's saying that if I have 5 cups that are split into 6 pieces, that means that there should be 30 doses in all of these 5 cups. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Anyway, 30 doses total. Okay, let's look at number 32. It says multiply. That's great. But unfortunately, they give us mixed numbers. So we're going to have to do Texas. Texas. Yeah, we're not doing Connecticut. We're doing Texas. So let's see. For Texas, you multiply and add. So 3 times 18 plus that 2 on top. So let's see here. 3 times 18 equals plus that 2 on top is 56. So we have 56 over 3, multiply dot. Now let's do Texas on this sucker. 7 times 2 plus the 1 on top, 15 over 7. So when you do Texas, the top number changes, the bottom doesn't. Okay, now how do we multiply? We multiply left to right. And we could either multiply right now and then reduce, or we could reduce ahead of time. Okay, let's see here. I get 840 divided by 21. Let's see if that's actually a thing. 840 divide 21. Hey, it's 40. Yes. D. Woohoo. Okay, let's look at 33. It looks almost exactly the same, only it's division. So first we need to do our Texas. Let's go. The bottom times the big number plus the top number. And we get 20 over 4 divided by, let's go again, the bottom number times the big number plus the top number is 16 all over 7. So you keep the same denominators, 4 and 7, 4 and 7. Okay, now how do we do fractions? We got to do keep, change, flip. So keep that first guy, change the second guy to a dot, flip the third guy upside down. I forgot to flip. Okay, now multiply left to right. 20 times 7, 140. 4 times 16, 64. And then, yeah, that's not gonna come out even. But we can try and divide it. We can say 140 divided by 64. And it should be 2-ish. So C's out because it's not 2-ish. Okay, let's actually do the division. So 64 goes into 140. We said 2. So let's put 2. Okay. 2 times 64 is 128. Subtract down. We get 12. So we take that 12, and it's our remainder over what we divided by, 64. The only thing is, I don't see anything with a 64 on the bottom. So we need to try and reduce. What can you reduce this 12 and 64 by? 4? Yeah, I think you can reduce it by 4. And if you reduce it by 4, you get 2 and 12 divided by 4. 3 over 64 divided by 4. 16. Hey, 2 and 3/16. Hey. Nice. Let's keep going. Number 34. Find the least common multiple. Okay, we kind of already did this. You're going to come up with all the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, you keep going. Then we're going to come up with all the multiples of 7. Then we're going to look for the lowest number in common. And our lowest number in common should be 21. B. All right. Number 35. It says rewrite the fraction with the indicated denominator. Okay. This is where we figure out what multiplies with 11 to get you 66. So 11 times who gives you 66? It should be by 6. If we're not sure, divide those two suckers. 66 divided by 11. Oh, okay, yeah, so you multiply by 6. Well, what you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So 14 times 6 is 84. Hey, B. Yes. All right, let's look at 36. It says the graph to the right shows the time required to install carpeting in a house for an 8-hour work shift. What fraction of the work shift was spent moving furniture and cleaning up? Okay. Well, first let's look for moving furniture. Moving furniture is this guy, 316. Okay, cleaning up is this, can't really tell. I think it's this little bitty guy right here. Yeah, okay. Well, when it says and, that means add. Okay, so let's add these. We're going to take this 3/16 from the moving the furniture, and we're going to add the cleaning up is 1/16. And let's see here, when the bottoms are the same, you keep it the same. And then you actually add the tops. So the tops are 3 plus 1 is 4. But if you look at the answer choices, we don't see that because they reduce. I think you can reduce by 2 and you get 2 over 8. And then you can do it again. And it gives you 1 over 4. D. And you might be asking, why do I not have to multiply that by another number? Like we did on number 28. On number 28, they told us how much the whole circle was worth. It was worth 576. On this problem, it says what fraction of the work. So since it says fraction, we don't actually have to multiply that 1/4 by 8. Woohoo! Because it says what fraction. So keep your answer as a fraction. Okay, let's look at 37. It says to obtain a certain shade of paint, Peter mixed 1 1/8 of white with some brown and some blue. How much paint did he have? Okay, if we want to know how much paint Peter had in all, we have to add them all. Okay, so we have 1 1/8 plus sign, 3 gallons of brown plus sign, 2 gallons of blue. Okay, well, let's add these up. If you want to, you can go ahead and add the big fat whole numbers. That's probably the easiest. And the big fat whole numbers is 6. And then tack on that 1/8. Hey, 6 and 1/8. C. Okay, this one was really easy because I only had one mixed number, so I was able to do it real simple and just take the big fat numbers and add them. On the next problem, we might have to do a little extra. Okay, this says a nail that's 7.5 inches long is driven into a board. Okay, so we got this board. Imagine this is a piece of wood, okay? This is a piece of wood. It's a board. Yeah, okay. And there's a nail that's driven into it. Okay, so we have this nail and it's driven into it. But this nail is 7.5 inches long. The actual board is only 4 2/3 inches long. Okay, it's saying how much of the nail protrudes, that means sticks out, from the other side of the board. Okay, so if the whole thing is 7.5, we want to take off this 4 2/3. So this is a trick. All we're going to do is we're going to minus the big guy, 7.5, minus the smaller guy, 4 2/3. Okay, unfortunately, we're going to have to do some Texas. Let's go. All right, so this 7 1/2, we do 2 times 7, 14, plus the 1 on top, 15. So we have 15 over 2, minus, for the second sucker, we have 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2, 14 over 3. Okay, now we have to come up with a LCD, okay? Let's think about it. If you look at all the multiplication facts of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, then you look at the multiplication facts of 3, 6, 9, 12. What was the smallest number in common that I said? And it should be 6. So, to get a 6 in the denominators, we're going to have to multiply by something. Over here on the left, we're going to multiply by 3's. That way we get a 6 in the bottom. On the right, we're going to multiply by 2's. That way we get a 6 in the bottom. Okay, now let's do this. 3 times 15 is 45 over 6 minus 14 times 2, 28 over 6. Now that we have the same number on the bottom, we can minus the top and keep that same number on the bottom. So we have 6 on the bottom. We have 17 on top. Okay, let's see. If we're looking at the answer choices, none of it says 17. But we do have a 6 in the denominator, so we automatically know C's out and D's out because it doesn't have a 6. Okay, let's see here. To figure out the mixed number, we're going to say 6 goes into 17 how many times? 2-ish to make 12, with 5 left over, with a remainder of 5 over what we divided by 6. So, A. The key words on this one that you're going to have to remember is that protrudes mean it sticks out the other side. Okay, let's look at 39. It says, write an alligator to make a true statement. Well, if we can get the bottoms to be the same, like this 45 and this 28, if we can get the bottoms to be the same, we can just look at the tops to figure out which one's bigger. So, let's do it. Let's come up with the LCD of 12 and 8. Think of all the multiplication facts of 12. 12, 24, 36, golly, 48, golly, 60, I don't know. Okay, then think of all the multiplication facts of your 8. 8, 16, 24, oh, that was easier than I thought it was. Okay, 32, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what's the smallest number in common? 24. So now we need to get these fractions to become 24s on the bottom. So on the left, to get that 12 to be a 24, I'm going to multiply by 2. On the right, to get that 8 to become a 24, we're going to multiply by 3. And now we have 2 times 5, 10 over 24. And then on the right side, we have 3 times 3. 9 over 24. Okay, so which one's bigger? Now that their bottoms are the same, we can just look at the top. And the 10 is way bigger than the 9. So the alligator needs to eat that 10. Okay, so it's the first sucker, A. All right, let's look at 40. It says simplify the expression. Well, when you square a fraction, you square both pieces. So 6 times 6 is 36. On the bottom, 5 times 5, so 6 squared means 6 times 6. On the bottom, 5 times 5 is 25. But if you look at the answer choices, none of them look like this. Well, answer choice A has the wrong denominator. Answer choice C has the wrong denominator. Okay, the only other thing we can do is maybe divide this and see what happens. 25 goes into 36 once with how many left over? 11 left over. So 1 and 11 over 25. B. Okay, next sucker. It says use the order of operations to simplify the expression. Okay, order of operations means PEMDAS. Okay, let's find what we got. I know I definitely have an M because of that dot. I have an E because of that 2 in the air. I have a S because of that subtraction. Okay, so what do I do first? There's no P. Oh, there's an E. So let's do the E. The E is 3 squared. That's 3 times 3. That makes 9. Okay, so I still have the big fat 9 multiply dot what we just got from 3 squared, which is 9, minus 1/2. Okay, so we've done the E. Huzzah! Next is that M. So let's multiply whatever we can. Multiply is the 9 times 9, and that makes 81 minus 1/2. Okay, and then obviously that's not going to be B because we're missing the minus 1/2. Okay, now we need to actually subtract. We have to get a common denominator. What's underneath this 81? There's a 1 underneath. What do I need it to be? I need it to be a 2, so that my denominators are the same. Okay, multiply by 2 left and right, and we get 162 over 2 minus 1/2. Okay, now that the bottoms are the same, we keep the same bottom, 2, and you minus the tops, 161. Yeah. Okay, but then if you look at the answer choices, none of them look like this. Well, let's divide. 2 goes into 161 8-ish times to get 16. Okay. And when you subtract, you get 0, and then bring down a 1. Okay. How many times can 2 go into 1? It can't. So you put a 0, and then the decimal would start, or then your remainder would start. So we need 80 and something. So A is out, C is out, so it must be D.